Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life is a fantastic book from beginning to end. It's not only hilarious and perfectly drawn, it is also a great starting point for a series of books that I love. Scott Pilgrim is a 23-year-old Canadian bass player in a band called Sex Bob Omb, with Kim Pines the drummer and Stephen Stills. He's the talent. He lives with his cool gay roommate Wallace Wells, and he has a younger sister called Stacy Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim is dating a high schooler named Knives Chow. She's Chinese. I think that about sums up where he is at the start of the book. His life is going pretty well until he meets the girl of his dreams, Ramona Flowers. Scott begins dating her while still dating Knives. He then finds out that he must defeat Ramona's 7 evil exes if he wants to continue to date her. Each book has him fighting one of the exes, and in this book he kicks it all off, literally, with Matthew Patel, Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend. This book is just really freaking cool. It's such a great starting point for the series and has a really awesome and unique art style to it. I've seen many people compare the art style to like manga, and I can see where they're coming from, but the expressions and poses he can put into his two-dimensional characters is pretty limitless, and that is really cool to me. And as I mentioned before, the writing is hilarious and contains a lot of gaming and film references, which are always welcome. The fact the band is called Sex Bob Omb is an awesome reference to the bomb enemies in Mario that have the same name, obviously minus the sex part. I really love the characters in these stories. Scott Pilgrim is very awesome and somewhat relatable in some cases. The whole of the first book revolves around him juggling Knives and Ramona, and sometimes it is awkward and funny, but it's just a big build up to what could be an explosive confrontation in the next books, and I was always excited to see that when I first read this book. Bryan Lee always knew he was going to make 6 books, so he didn't make this book a complete story that gets resolved in the end, and that's good. It's just scraped the surface of these characters and their relationships, and as the books go on they will continue to grow. Hints at future characters and relationships are filled throughout the book, which help build the universe, and I love it when book series do that. It makes the whole series seem like more of a complete package when it's over. And speaking of characters in this book, Wallace Wells is probably my favourite character in this one. He is very good at getting one over on Scott and has very clever dialogue. I like Ramona in this book as well, as this is the first book. She is quite mysterious and extremely cool. Like I said in my Lost at Sea review, shameless plug, I believe Bryan Lee makes really awesome female characters, and this book is filled with them. I think the weakest characters in this book are probably Stephen and young Neil, but they continue to grow throughout the series, it's just for this book. The parallels in this book compared to the film are pretty interesting. For the most part, the first 30 to 40 minutes of the film follow this book almost exactly, and that's pretty good going for something that's an adaptation. Some things are different, such as Crash and the boys actually killing the audience, or at least knocking them out, just before Sex Bob Omb play at the Rocket. They do this by playing their last song called Last Song Kills Audience. Brilliant. I think that is all I really need to say about this first book. I love it. It's always been one, and always will be, one of my favourite books. Next up is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.